As I've said in video blogs before, I've met a handful of wrestlers over the years, from Rey Mysterio to Tommy Dreamer to Bob Backlund. A lot of awesome wrestling experiences, fan to wrestler experiences that I've talked about here on the channel before for the last couple of months. Today's story is definitely one of the more notable ones, happening about 3 years ago this week or this month. I think 3 years ago from when I first filmed this, December 9, 2011. This won't be going up until this Friday, but still though, meeting Mick Foley. Now, Mick Foley will definitely go down as one of the most surreal experiences of meeting wrestlers goes, in terms that meeting him was something I never really thought would happen, and also the way that everything kind of unfolded and the way it did. But kind of backtracking here a little bit, it was a couple weeks before December that I found out via some dirt sheet that Mick Foley was coming to Connecticut for an autograph signing in Terryville, Connecticut. I live in Connecticut. So I knew, it wasn't that bad of a drive, but I was going to make the trip, and it was at a show called Northeast Wrestling. Now, I didn't think there was going to be any live action like there usually is. We used to go to those shows all the time for the wrestling and whatever. But at this show, I didn't think there was going to be any wrestling. I just thought Mick Foley was going to be there just for a one-off signing or something like that. And it was just a Mick Foley autograph signing, so that's pretty much all that I thought it was. So we go. It was a Friday night. So December 9th, a really, really fun time. So we make it there after like an hour of driving, a little bit after the autograph signing first starts. We get there, we find out it is more than an autograph signing. Not only is Mick Foley there, but there's Vladimir Kozlov, Tommy Dreamer, Robbie E., Maria, I think, was there as well, maybe someone else. But it was a whole Northeast wrestling event. Like I said before, these are the kind of shows that I used to go to all the time and still go to this day. It's really, really fun. I went to the show a couple of weeks ago that I talked about here on the channel, where I met AJ Styles, Kurt Angle, so many other wrestlers. So it's experiences like that remind me why I'm a wrestling fan, and go back and check my other video blogs out for more on that. But still, though, it was one of those events, so we go there. It's a long-ass line for Mick Foley. I didn't know what I wanted him to sign, so before I left the house, I'm thinking, what do I want him to sign? I don't have his book yet, but I do have the Rise and Fall of ECW book. It might have been called The Death of ECW, whatever. It was something like that. I think it was called The Rise and Fall of ECW, and then there's The Death of WCW. That's what it is. So I brought that book because I know that he co-wrote it along with another bunch of other ECW legends and stuff like that. So I brought that along, especially since he was a big part of ECW back in the day. And I also brought along my Hardcore Championship just for the hell of it. I knew that, he instituted the Hardcore title. I had my Jack Specific Hardcore Championship, so I brought it along just in case I wanted him to sign it or whatever else. So I brought that with us. We had to wait in this long-ass line before we can go meet Mick Foley. It wasn't too long, though. It only took about 10 minutes. Like, the lines for people at indie events, I know the wrestlers, interact with the people a little bit, but it's no more for than 15, 30 seconds top, so it doesn't take forever. But we finally go up to meet Mick Foley, my little brother Jackson and I. So Mick Foley's actually on his phone when we go up to meet him, so I'm saying hi and he's not responding to me. He was ignoring me because he was on his phone texting or something. I guess he wanted to. So we just gave him a second to text whatever he was going to do. So we just let him go for a second, and we took the picture. Cool guy, shook his hand, said I was a fan. That was pretty much it. As we were approaching the table too, I'm thinking to myself, what am I going to say to this guy? This was around the time that he recently came back to WWE too. And I'm not going to say I wasn't exposed to his pre-WWE work. Pre-TNA work, whatever. When he was in the Attitude Era with Mankind. I'm meeting a fucking legend here. I didn't really realize that at the time, fully realize it. If I met him today, it would be completely different, and I'm hoping to meet him again at some point, especially after reading his books and becoming a much more fan of his on a personal level, as a wrestler, whatever. But still, though, he had just left TNA, he had just joined WWE, he had just did some fucking Christmas special on SmackDown. I knew he was a big Christmas fan, so do I say, you made a good Santa? What the fuck do I say? So I just said hi, and I was a fan of his, and I think that's pretty much the extent of our conversation. I didn't really have much of a conversation with Mick Foley. Took the picture, that was it. We got the picture, and he signed my Rise and Fall of ECW book. Good stuff. So after that, I go over to talk to Tommy Dreamer, who I've talked about here on the channel before. I've met him on 3-4 different occasions, and I think this might have been the last time I've seen him in person. I haven't seen him since. It's been 3 years. Crazy to think about that. But still, though, so we go up to meet him, talking to him for a little bit, just shooting the breeze and whatever else. Every single time I see him, like I said in my video blog when I was talking about when I met him for the first time, he always gives me free stuff, whether it's a picture, a signature, whatever. The first time he gave us a free signature and a picture, a free autograph and a picture with him. The second time, I think it was a picture. Third time, he signed my ECW championship belt, the newer one, not the classic. And so the fourth time that I met him, We had him sign my Rise and Fall of ECW book, like I did with Mick Foley. He was a big part of ECW, obviously. So I had him sign that. We're just shooting the breeze for a little bit. And I also wanted to go talk to a few other wrestlers that I met at the time, indie wrestlers. I wanted to go talk to Robbie E. and a few other people. So I think I put my stuff down real quick. I put the title belt down. I put the book down. So my dad's taking pictures of myself and a few other wrestlers and other people that were there and whatever else. So about maybe 20 minutes or so later, we go to sit down in our seats, and they're doing the Pledge of Allegiance, whatever else. I'm just kind of reaccounting for my stuff, as I always do. I'm just that kind of person. Like, I'm checking my pockets. Do I have my phone? Yep. Do I have my money? Whatever. Yep. Do I have my title belt? Yep. Do I have my book? Where's my book? So I'm looking for my book everywhere. I'm looking underneath the bleachers. I can't fucking find it. I'm freaking out now. So we go over to the autograph signing table. I'm thinking, okay, I probably just left it over here somewhere. And by the time that we go back to where the autograph signing was, and it was in like this little gymnasium, like cafeteria, whatever, they were already starting to pack up. At this point, I was really freaking out. So we're looking at all the tables. We're asking around. We're asking the janitor if anyone tossed it. And they said they can't find it, but we'll look for it for you. I'm like, okay. So I'm kind of freaking out for the first half of the show. I don't even remember most of the wrestling that went down that night. Most of the time, I was just kind of freaking out that I had just lost my Rise and Fall of ECW book. Not only was it a great book, but it also had two legendary signatures in there from Tommy Dreamer and Mick Foley, respectively. Or not Mick Foley, just Tommy Dreamer. I just had Mick Foley. It was too expensive to do a picture and an autograph, so we just did the picture. But in that book was a signature of Tommy Dreamer, so it would have been a cool artifact, seeing how he was a big part of ECW. I paid for the book to begin with, so I was really frustrated, and I was really upset that I couldn't find the book, so I couldn't enjoy most of the show. So here comes intermission. We go back to where they were setting up before with all the food and whatever else. They still can't find it. By that point, I just pretty much lose hope. So also during intermission, Tommy Dreamer's in the ring doing a photo shoot, a photo op, whatever, with a few fans. So I didn't want to wait in line and then go up to him and ask him if he knew where my book was, because I thought that was kind of a waste of time. But I kind of stood off to the side. I stood off like on the other side of the railing, kind of trying to get his attention, waving to him, seeing if I can ask him this one quick question. And he did see me. He waved to me, but he didn't really pick up that I wanted to talk to him. He didn't understand that. So I was like, oh, shit, that's probably my last opportunity. So I wasn't able to talk to Tommy Dreamer at that point. So we go back to our seats. We enjoyed the rest of the show. Like I said before, it was a fun night, but I just don't remember most about it because I was freaking out and I was worrying about where my book was. It has the signature of fucking Tommy Dreamer in it, and it was a valuable item, so I was really pissed off. And I just do remember that Brian Anthony, who was the NEW champion at the time, he was doing the fist pump with Mick Foley, and Robbie E was there, so it was kind of a cool thing. I actually tried to post it here to YouTube right after it happened, but they blocked it on copyright grounds, whatever. But you can check it. I think Luke Robinson was there too. That's what it was. And we tried to talk to Luke Robinson, but he did a promo before his matchup with whoever it was, and I actually filmed it. I think it's up here on the channel. Might be under miscellaneous, whatever. But still, though, we get to the end of the show. Mick Foley's doing his fist pumping with Robbie E and Brian Anthony and whatever else. So the show ends, and as we always do, after every single indie event that we've gone to for Northeast Wrestling, with the exception of maybe the first one, we've always waited overtime because I've always noticed that something always awesome happens if we wait overtime. The most recent one that I went to with my friend John here in Danbury, Connecticut. We waited afterwards. We were able to talk to Evan fucking Bourne. I got to talk to AJ Styles a little bit more, so you never really know what happens when you stay behind a little bit. And I always feel bad for the people that come with me, like if they have to drive me or something. I feel bad, waiting behind half an hour or so, but I think it's worth it if you get to talk to the wrestlers for a little bit more time and get a picture with them, whatever. So we do that here. My dad's saying, just let's wait it out. Let's see if he comes out by any chance. I'm thinking, Tommy fucking Dreamer's probably already gone. Like, he was in the opening matchup. He wrestled this thing. He's probably gone by now. There's really no hope. I'll probably just wait out for another wrestler to come out. So we wait for maybe 15, 20 minutes, and Tommy Dreamer comes out. So we run up to him. He's talking to a few other fans. We try to get his attention. We do. And I ask him, hey, Tommy, sorry to bother you, but that book that you signed before, the Rise and Fall of ECW book, do you know where it is by any chance? I think I might have left it over to where you were signing your autographs before, and I can't find it. So I'm thinking he has, no idea what I'm talking about, but he looks at me and he goes, I'll be right back. Mick Foley's reading it. And I'm like, what? Mick Foley's reading my book? I'm like, what the fuck is going on right now? So he goes to the back, and I'm just kind of freaking out. All these other fans and are around me and whatever, and they're like, are you serious, bro? And I'm like, I guess so. I don't know. And so Tommy Dreamer's gone for like a minute or two, and I'm just sitting there like, is he serious, or like, what's going on right now? So Tommy Dreamer comes back out with my book in his hand, so I guess we didn't lose it after all. So he was telling me that I left it over there. He understood. He wanted to hold it on. He wanted to hold on for it for me until the end of the show. When he did, he ended up giving it back to me. But he said that Mick Foley was sitting in the back of the show, in the locker and whatever, reading my book, reading the Rise and Fall of ECW book. And before Tommy Dreamer took it back from him, he signed it for me. He signed Tyrannosaurus ass in quotation marks Mick Foley, and it was so fucking awesome. And I would show you here in the video. I unfortunately don't. I'm at school right now. I don't have the book with me, but there are some pictures on the Facebook page. If you go to albums and maybe cover photos, or not cover photos, if you go to timeline photos, something like that. If you go to the Graham Jason Matthews Facebook page or my personal page, whatever, it's definitely up there. I've taken pictures and posted it before. But still, though, it was such a surreal experience. We're just saying bye to Tommy Dreamer. We followed him out. We went to our car. I'm sitting in my car. I'm like, that just happened. Mick Foley was reading my book in the back. So I was able to not only get his signature for free, but I was also get his picture with him. He was reading my book. Get his picture with me, whatever, or get my picture with him. So that was pretty cool. So that's the picture that you see in the thumbnail of me and Mick Foley. I didn't think it was the best picture. I think there's been better pictures that I've been taken with wrestlers and stuff like that. It was still cool to meet him nevertheless, but I think the biggest takeaway from that experience was the fact that he was fucking reading my book in the locker room of that show. I thought that was absolutely surreal, and I think that definitely goes down as the single most memorable experience when it comes to meeting a wrestler. Like, that whole night was crazy and insane, and I'll never forget. It was weeks before Christmas, Mick Foley's day of the year, of course. And yeah, Mick Foley's a real stand-up guy, regardless of what you think of him as a performer, as a person, with his Facebook rant sometimes in the WWE. I think he's fucking awesome. I did before that. I still do to this day. I'm a big follower of not only his work in WWE as a wrestler and whatever else. I always enjoy that kind of stuff. But as a person, too. And reading his writing, that's kind of how I've been inspired to write as well. I mean, I've always been into writing, obviously. But his writing style kind of inspired mine with my stories and stuff like that outside of the wrestling world and stuff like that. He has definitely inspired me in more ways than one in that sense. But absolutely go out of your way to meet Mick Foley if he's in the area. I know he lives in the New York area, so he does a lot of appearances up here in the Northeast. But he's always doing comedy shows. I've been trying to get one to those one of these days, and hopefully I will at some point because I am old enough to go. But still, though, I'm definitely trying to go back and meet him one more time. Because I think it was like a year or two ago. It was in one of my classes here at college that I was doing a wrestling blog, and one of the girls picked up on that, and she said, do you know Mick Foley, I guess? And I said, yeah, why not? And she knew that who Mankind was and whatever else. I'm like, how do you know who Mankind is? And I guess she was she was his neighbor, I guess, or his neighbor, or they are currently neighbors, something like that. And so I've been trying to get that connection, but I guess that when I try to get him on my radio show and whatever else, and I had her talk to her dad to talk to Mick Foley, he was busy, so that's okay. But still, though, the fact, there was that connection, so hopefully I can talk to him about that if I ever see him again. Hopefully I will. But getting back to the topic at hand, absolutely. If you get the chance to meet Mick Foley, definitely do so. Great guy, great wrestler, and one of the best of all time. Have a nice day.